and poor old Nick's 47, isn't he? So amongst that, so there's a group there, and I think they're starting avidly. They can afford to do more. So, and I don't think it'll last either. By the way, that's my opinion, because I think we had a particularly strong catalogue, and I think that attracted more blah blah blah. And if more people are there, the prices are generally going to be higher, aren't they? I think. So there we are. Opinions, and by no means mandated. So there we are. I suspect when we get to January and February's auctions, normal service will be resumed, but I don't know that. Class D waivers, yeah, I never really worked out how to use it either, Keith. It was always a bit of a mystery to me, and I never had a visit from the official gentleman. I knew him well, and indeed some of the lots on that we were selling on Saturday were from that particular official gentleman, and we were very pleased. And she was very pleased too. We don't have gas. I wouldn't mind gas here. We have an oil central heating system. I dislike it intensely, really, for several reasons. First, it's a dangerous spill, which causes a long-term smell. As we know, there was a spill in the village as we arrived here, and I think it lasted on and off for about 5 years, depending on the weather, the wind, and all sorts of factors. And given that we're on the bank of the tributary of the Thames, 2 feet wide, we've got all sorts of riparian responsibilities in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? Pollution, and which are quite onerous actually. Now we don't have gas. Gas is in the next village, and about 10 years ago, a 60-centimetre gas main was dug through the village next to us, so we could see a 60-centimetre gas main. And that bypassed us, just created disruption. Many years ago, before we arrived in the villagers approached the then gas board and said, how about putting gas into the village? And they said, yeah, no problem at all, we can put it from the top of your lane and we'll dig it down, and how much would that be? Well, this is probably 30 years ago. The gas board said, oh well, to put the gas main in the village, about £180,000, which if you divide out the cost between the 20 houses, all those will pay. And then, of course, there's a connection for each property, which will be X, Y, and Z, so that never happened. And indeed, the disruption of getting a gas main in the village would have been quite onerous as well, but there being one lane in and out, one single track lane in and out. Anyway, I'm going to say my 73s and join the crowd of signers. And I shall pass. I think Andy signed, but I'm not sure. So I'll pass it on to Andy. And I think if I wouldn't mind a comment from somebody just saying whether the frequency hopping is still happening. But if Andy's not there, I'm so sure somebody else will pick it up. This is G3YH signing.
Yeah, G3YH, the group G4OJY. Yes, all okay there, Tony. I met some on the final anyway. And yes, at the start of the year there was a frequency hopping, and then it stopped fairly quickly actually, and it's been fairly okay for the last of the part of the over there. Okay, 73 to everyone, and yes, I know you mean about the oil leaks there. Toby next to me had a big oil leak before I moved into the house, and 1,000 litres of oil went into their house after the delivery driver stepped in the valve and snapped it off just after refilling the tank. So they were out of the house for over a year while that was cleared up. But anyway, we don't have any oil now, it's all gas, fortunately. 73 to everyone, not sure if the witness can pick up actually. I'll pass it back to you for the final M1PBC G4OJY.
G4OJY, M1PBC, yes, okay, Andy, your signal going way down, but still Q5 here. And, yeah, well, we're oil, much like Tony, nearest gas main, about 2 miles away. It'll never come in this direction, though. This is the problem. Even when it was a public utility, it was not likely to happen. Now it's a private concern, as it were. It certainly isn't going to happen. And yes, oil spills are extremely expensive, especially if you're near a watercourse, and we've had instances where people that I know have had that happen, or their neighbours have had it happen, and it's cost an awful lot of money to sort out. But We're Oil, exactly the same situation as Tony, and I keep my eye on it, but there's only so much you can do, so to speak. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But there you go. But certainly no gas, no mains drainage here either. So although we're only 35 miles from London, you would think we were up in John O'Groats or somewhere. Well, they've probably got gas in John O'Groats. Anyway, good to speak to all you guys. And Tony, right, when you started your over, the audio was breaking up. Your carrier is rock solid. It is not hopping, not according to my SDR. Absolutely rock solid. But there was raggedness on the audio, which about 15, 20, 30 seconds in disappeared, more or less. It was still there right in the background, but not as raspberry type noises that we had at the start of the over. And it's, as I said, I was using the RTA1. I just switched over when you took your over, and I thought it was the RTA1 receiver playing up, because it does overload because the AFC or the AVC is not working properly, and that's like your jobs, Tony, a job to do. That's why I said, you know, I'm going to put it back under the bench, because it's not fully usable yet. It transmits okay, but the receiving audio quality is pretty ragged around the edges when it comes to strong stations. So still needs a bit of work on it, but there you go. It's nice to use it. I like the sound of the dynamotors running up. But good discussions. And Tony, your observations on the auction, exactly the same as mine. Yes, you're quite right. With that sort of attendance and that sort of catalogue, obviously people were going to bid whatever they thought the stuff was worth to them, and good luck to them. And I think some things went for reasonable sums. The particular item that somebody seemed to take offence at, I think went for the right value for its condition. Two of them, one which Martin at M0MGA bought, so I hope we'll hear both of those on the air. But there were other items that I commented on that I seriously raised my eyebrows, but you're quite right. And I think a lot of us now have collected the stuff we need. Certainly I have. So we weren't really in a very acquisitive mode, so to speak. I certainly wasn't. But obviously certain people are, and yes, that will probably tail off as time comes on. But at the present moment, it seems a good time to get rid of your stuff in the auction. So certainly be doing that. The comment that I did make on Monday is pertinent, which is, and I think we had a balanced discussion, because Ian was playing the other hand, is that it is caveat emptor at those auctions, whereby if you buy off the internet auction site, where somebody has warranted that the thing works, you have instant redress through the dispute resolution. You get your money back. So one would expect prices at a VMARS auction to be under eBay prices, to use the name, let's not hide the name. And in some cases they weren't particularly that much lower this time round. So that's why Keith and I and many others I talked to rather raised their eyebrows, and I'll say no more on the subject. I'm now quiet, but what I would say, if somebody doesn't like what we're discussing on air, they do have an off switch. They do have the ability to change frequency. So let's not get nasty about it, guys. Have a good day, guys. This station, M1PVC, going QRT. I think you signed, Ray. If not, please tie the ribbons. G3BTD, M1PVC.
Morning, G4GM.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan. I haven't thrown the big switch.
Okay, yes. The muting isn't working on this. I don't know why. Anyway, I've got to do something about that. So I think what I'll do is I'll just change band. Right. Okay. I'll just change the band. Anyway, this is the first outing for the E52, and I've been listening on it. And I thought, well, I'd just say hello. This is the 53, of course. And interesting, I've been comparing the audio on the AR88. The AR88 is much better than the E52, but the interference you can't do anything about it much in the AR88, whereas the E52 you can with your beautiful filter. But there you are, and it's working beautifully. And the calibration is pretty good with this. It's about 3 kilohertz out, which is not bad for a set of this type. So because it's absolutely accurate, the display, and to tune you in, I had to go 3 kilohertz low, which I don't think is that bad for a set of this age. Anyway, there we are, and so back to you, Paul. And I wonder how you're getting me. M1 PVC in the group, G4G, over.
G4G, M1 PVC. Yeah, okay, Alan. Well, if I opened the window, I think I could hear you. No problem at all. You're storming in as you would expect. Glad that the E52 is working. I reckon a dial calibration within 3K is pretty good, because it'll obviously change with temperature anyway. That is pretty good. The HRO500 I've got here probably is slightly better than that, but of course being solid state and with stabilised supplies, it's working to its best. It doesn't produce any heat, and the VFO is going to be stable, and of course it's crystal controlled through the Wadley loop system, so different technology, so that is pretty accurate. But most of my receivers, I think if I was within 3K of what it says on the dial, I'd be well happy, so certainly wouldn't worry about that. And delighted it's working. Good to see you. Sorry I couldn't stay for a chat, Alan, but if you feel bored and you can't do anything, as I say, we can always pop round and I can have a chat with you. No problem at all. Good to know anyway you're on the road to recovery. And as I say, the only thing that surprised me about the E52 was the weight. For the size, it's incredibly heavy. But there you go. Nice box of tricks. Back to you. G4, GN, M1 PVC.
M1 PVC, G4G, yes, well, of course, you get nothing for nothing, and I think the stability of that sort of set, it has to be very, very solidly constructed, and the plates and the capacitors on this are, I think, adjusted to within 0.01 of a millimeter. I mean, it's incredibly accurately made, and you can only do this if you make something good and solid. Yeah, well, it's very nice, and as I said, I'm pleased with it. I had a little bit of bad news. Paul, I told her Jean wasn't well. Well, my son-in-law had a look at her yesterday, and he said that's it. And he took her straight. He got her straight into hospital, and she's got pneumonia. But she's much better now, and because he got it right away, and it had just started. And I was dead worried about her, but she's in hospital. I'm going to see her this morning, so that's been a bit of a blow for me. But apparently, he had to listen to her chest, and he said no more mucking around. That's it. And he and my daughter put her in the car and took her straight off to the hospital. And he's that's. And I'm rather happy about this. Anyway, they got her in time. They've X-rayed. It's only a very small spot, but so she should be coming out in a couple of days. M1 PVC, G4GN, over.
G4GN, M1 PVC. Well, having been in that position myself, Alan, yeah, I can't help but agree with you. It was the right place. when I spoke to Jean the other day, and she said she had pneumonia, I was a little bit surprised that she hadn't been up to the hospital, because when I got that, and I didn't have it too badly, the only way I could really breathe was to sit outside in the house. I just felt that I was suffocating, and they took me in, and the moment they put me on oxygen and intravenous antibiotics, I felt so much better. I was only in there for about 2 or 3 days, and out I came, and touch wood, been all right ever since. So wish her well when you see her from us, and as I say, she's in the right place. So good to know that that's been caught nice and early. It's not the disease it used to be. Modern medical ability is a lot better, and if they catch it early, it works. But of course, again, you're at the throes of these antibiotics, and there might come a time in the future when they cease to operate. But anyway, good, as I say, that that has come to a, what shall we say, looks as though it'll soon be over, and you'll both be enjoying life again, because one thing on top of the other. These things do unfortunately come in groups, don't they? But you could have done well without that, Alan. But just going back to the E52, yes, you're quite right. Even the Bendix TA12, which has got a very stable VFO, it's only stable really because of the rugged nature of the construction, again in a die-cast case, etc., as far as the VFO goes, with very ruggedly built and high quality components, and dead stable because of it, which is amazing actually, because it doesn't actually work on a stabilised voltage supply. But having said that, the Collins KWM 2 series, they don't have a stabilised voltage supply. It has a permeability tuned VFO, and if you've ever used one, you'll know that they are spot on and they don't drift at all. So it is possible with the proper type of construction and the proper treatment of the components with compensation for temperature, etc. Anyway, back to you, Alan. I'm not going to stay on too long. G4GN, M1PBC.
M1PBC, G4G. Yeah, well, I'll tell you something interesting. I've only ever had one set with the permeability tuning. Although the 58 set is, and that's another thing I was going to ask you, that's got permeability tuning. It's a beautiful little receiver. And the unfortunate thing is, of course, it's very insensitive. And if one day when you've got a slack time, it's probably got some resistors that have gone high, and it's so small and fiddly that I don't want to mess around with it. Anyway, because you're better quality. It's a simple little receiver. It's very, very stable and good. Compared to the 18 set, there isn't. Now, in about when Richard was about, I suppose, 13, I managed by contacts to get him shown. We were shown around Caversham Park, the listening post, you know, the listening station. And I noticed there they had a lot. They had a load of different receivers. 1772, RA 1772s was the main one, or they had different ones for sort of low frequency, because they monitor every broadcast there is. But there were, a lot of them was the Japan radio, NRD 505, and that's the only set I've had with permeability tuning. And I looked at it and I said, well, I'm surprised you got a Japanese equipment. He said, this is such a good receiver. He said, the NRD, Nippon Radio Denishu, is so they make communications equipment. They don't really in the amateur business, he said, but they just thought they'd go into a wider market. And they made this as a loss leader, and it's far better than it needs to be. And I played with it, and I thought, wow, that is a good set. And so I saw one for sale. I got it, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was very, very nice, and this permeability tuning is very, very stable. It was anyway, unfortunately, I got rid of it when I wanted to get the E52. I needed to raise some money, but it was such a good set, and the permeability tuning, it's sort of dead beat, isn't it? You set it and that's it. It's not like a capacitor. And altogether, I agree with you entirely. And of course, that was the great secret of the Collins until the R390A came along with this beautiful tuning. There was nothing to touch this E52. No set equaled it. M1 PVC G4G. Oh, by the way, when I got pneumonia, I'll just tell you, when I got pneumonia the first time was 1944, and I was busy getting trout, you see, because I knew there was just the stream was in flood, and I knew they always got underneath this root of an alder, and I was leaning over, and I just felt this trout, and I went a little bit too far and fell in, and so there I was hanging on I was 9, and I was hanging on the root, and I would get, if I let go, I get swept under the tunnel. And I thought, well, and it was just about, I couldn't hold on any longer. A couple of Canadian soldiers came by, and they saw me, they pulled me out, and they ran up at a jog trot, took me home. My father put me in a hot bath. And after that, things got a bit hazy, and I was in the camp hospital for a little while. I remember I came there, and then the next thing, I sort of really came to in the Queen Victoria, and I had pneumonia. I got in there, snuffed it, but because they hadn't got the penicillin in, they had sulfonamides. But at least, and that's my first experience. And the next one was when I had it a little while back, and as you say, it wasn't funny at all. And I was on full blast oxygen, and then again, that's another time I was getting lucky to get away with. So these things happen in your life. Anyway, if ever you do feel like having a play with this 58, I'd appreciate it. And you'd like it. It would appeal to you. It's such a beautifully designed and worked little set. You probably saw it on the floor there. Anyway, I've had it, years and years. And when I was in the cadets, I had one, not this one. I had one, and I hated the 18 set. It's a heavy down thing. So when I was sent off on with an 18 set, I used to hide it and bring my 58 with me. And everybody said what a much better signal I had than the 18 set. And my batteries on the 18 set always lasted longer than everybody else's. Okay, cheers, Paul. M1 PVC G4G,
G4GN, M1 PBC. Yeah, okay, Alan, I'll make this a final. Conditions between us are still very good, but I don't know how good the skip is now, and whether you might find somebody else to chat to this morning. But good to talk to you. And yeah, okay with the 58 set. Well, I'm not offering at the present moment, Alan, because well, I've got projects coming out of my ears. I was using the Bendix RTA1 this morning, and just saying, well, the receiver side is not working properly. I must finish that off, and there's a fair bit of work still in that. And I've also got this TCS transmitter on the bench I'm working on at the same time, and in the garage there's a Hallicrafters HT37 also on the bench. So I'm not short of a few jobs at the present moment. Plus the fact that at the present moment we're having the whole house redecorated inside, so we're all up in the air, and I keep on having to move furniture around, and you name it. I won't bore you anymore, Alan, but let's just say I'm going to be a busy bunny this side of Christmas anyway. But in the new year, yes, no doubt I will get some time, and we can do something for you, I'm sure. So I hope it will wait that long, so to speak. But anyway, great to hear that the E52 is all working, etc. I was just slightly concerned that, obviously, having driven all the way from Belgian in the back of Alan's car, and then, well, luckily, as I say, my car's got exceptionally good suspension, so it was treated very nice on the way back from Baginton here, and I think Trevor's got a good quality car too, so I don't think it got shook around any, but you never know, do you? But then presumably these things were designed to take a certain amount of rough treatment because of the military nature of their use. So glad it's working, and well, hopefully, as I say, you'll get some good news when you go into the hospital. Please give Jean our regards, and hope she gets better soon, and we'll meet up later down the log, Alan. So back to you to tie the ribbons. G4 GN M1PBC, signing but listening for your final.
Okay, M1PBC G4. Yeah, well, thanks a lot. I'll certainly do that. I'm just waiting here. But Caroline's going to go into the hospital to see her and take me with her. So that'll go. Yes, well, I'm sure she'll be glad to hear from you. But no, I was worried, and when she was on antibiotics, you know, and David was concerned. If you've been to the GP, it's only a very small bit, and David said it's not getting better. And he listened to it. He said, in fact, it's getting worse. He said, I've had enough of this. And he just, you know, because he works at the hospital, he said, right, okay. And he just made a telephone call, and she was in there pretty darn quickly. And but he thinks that the antibiotics she was being prescribed wasn't actually doing much. But of course, you've got to actually find out the bacteria, which ones they're most susceptible to. Well, anyway, there you are. How long are these antibiotics going to work? Who knows? No doubt we'll find with something else. I was like when I used to watch Star Trek a long years ago. Dr. McCoy just pointed the machine at them, and they're all right after that. We need that. The bloke that developed the MRI scan, that was his inspiration. He said, well, if Dr. McCoy could do it, I'm damn sure I could, and he invented the MRI, and that made a big difference. I wouldn't be here if he hadn't, because my cancer was spotted on the MRI on my spine, and my goodness me, they didn't have to work hard, and it's all gone, and I'm back to normal now, and there's no trace of it, which I think is amazing, really. Anyway, cheers then, G4GN.
Yep, agreed, Alan. Good stuff. Cheers and beers. M1PBC going QRT.
Well, to my indicator, the reference S5 you're soon are 80 meters away.
First time.
We're 5 and 7 this morning from GM8 UPI.
For tailoring the audio very, very finely. So
100 wet and dry. And then he put another base coat on and matted it off with 400 wet and dry. Gave an absolutely superb base. And then what he did, he applied the paint in 3 coats. You know, the real McCoy, 117 pound a litre it is, or something like that. The real good stuff. He thinned it out and he applied it in 3 coats by how was it? How did he? He did actually demonstrate. Yeah, with a high density small roller, rolling it laterally, and then finishing off with a brush, a really, really fine brush. I've never seen one like it before. I mean, it's sort of much more dense, but the hair is much more flexible than a normal brush, and it came along behind it in sections running down, and then it all blends into one. You can't see any brush marks, you can't see any joins or anything. So really, really superb job. So he wants to do the same job on the yellow peril, which is very good of him. I mean, he helped me with the skeg, and he's going to help me, or he's going to do it, and I'm going to help him. Let's put it the right way round. because he's got far more experience than me. So he's persuaded me to do that. So we're sort of looking at dates when the weather's right, mate. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay, Bob. G3XOP returning. So did he do that all in the open air?
Yeah, he did it last October, all in the open air, and absolutely superb. But he doesn't start actually doing any painting before midday, and then he's got sort of 2 to 3 hours when the sun's at the max. And he did it on his own boat, and it really is of a professional job, really good pool outside. So, but of course it is subjected to weather. I mean, if you get weather like this, or very, very windy or damp, it's no good. You've got to have the right days, mate. So, yeah, you know, if they disappear, we won't see them again until mid-August next year. Go ahead.
No, that's true. But £117 a litre. Is that, did you say that correctly? £117 per litre, Bob?
Yeah, that's right, Phil.
Oh, crikey, that's incredibly expensive, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Really, really dear. Really, really dear stuff. But, my God, absolutely fantastic. You know, the finish is truly superb. You're not going to do it again for 10 years, you know. So, I mean, really, if you think about it, probably you're looking at probably 150 quid, 200 quid altogether. I mean, that's cheap. If you had it done for you, it would cost, you know, well, anything up £1,000, you know, £1,025, wouldn't it, if you put it in to be painted. So, really, it works out quite cheap in the end, mate. You know, with the ancillary bits and brushes and wet and dry, which are his incidentals, really, that's just a few quid. But the main component is the, not the base coat, he uses a cheaper base coat, but the actual finish is the best, the very best of the best, and it works as well, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, so how many litres did he use?
I don't know. I don't know how many litres he used, whether he used more than 2.5 to do it, because don't forget he's thinning the first 2 coats. I think he thins all coats proportionally as he goes. To what degree, I don't know. Of course, the thinners are dear as well. I think that's about 40 quid or something. So the thinners and the top coat paint is the, you know, is in the main is the most expensive components of it. But really, the overall cost, if you think of, say, you know, 200, 2,500, I mean, it's not much really nowadays. And if you put it in to be done yourself, you'd probably be looking at £1,000 or, you know, 1,200 or something by the time the labour component came into it. It's the matting off. It's the labour element and the matting off, which is the secret, because it's the base coat, really, and how smooth that is, which determines how smooth the top coat's going to be, you know, so you don't finish up with any tiny little pimples or orange peel or anything like that will go.
Yeah, it's okay, Bob. G4MWJ G3XOP. Well, yes, I mean, if you had it done, well, you know, taught them by the professionals, I would say that you'd certainly be looking at could it be a couple of thousand, I would think, you know, the labour involved, especially if they did it to the same sort of standard as he did, you know, with the base coats and what have you. But yeah, it sounds a very expensive job, even if you do it yourself, really. Anyway, good stuff. And what length road?
This is 29.
Yeah, okay. So that must have taken him quite a while. As you say, just waiting for the right weather. Whether or not you would get that at this time of year now, I don't know. Possibly not. Anyway, good stuff. And yeah, okay, on the route and what have you that you mentioned earlier. well, hopefully there won't be any hold-ups. You just never know, do you? Fingers crossed I won't come across any stray dogs as I close on the destination, like I did, what was it, earlier last year, was it now, I think?